All right. In his answer, um, Vimalakirti is breaking the early Buddhist bond between impermanence and aversion. The idea that because things are unstable and subject to death, we should mistrust and reject them. If impermanence is the cause of a lot of pain and suffering, it also means that we can do something about that, because things are always in flux, maybe over years or generations or geological ages, but still, by their nature, capable of change. When Vimalakirti says, completely share whatever good you do with everyone, he's saying that when we're confronted with impermanence and difficulty, our job is to bring a kind of grace into the world, the awareness of the possibility of change.
The second way that bodhisattvas should comfort bodhisattvas who are ill, according to Vimalakirti, is to remind them that the body suffers, but don't suggest that as a result you should strive for nirvana. This is another way of saying the same thing. Yes, the body suffers, but we shouldn't be trying to transcend it. The way to deal with suffering is to learn to live open heartedly in its presence. And the entire sutra is about how to do that. The third way we should comfort bodhisattvas who are ill is to remind them that the body is without self, but suggest that you should help others anyway. If you don't have a self, what's the point of trying to help you? This is a
Pernicious.
pernicious distortion of the way. The implication of selflessness isn't that no one is suffering, it's that there are no comfortable distancing categories of giver, given to, and gift. No safe corralling of suffering over there. Respond to the suffering, and the metaphysics will take care of itself. So, what's the definition of pernicious? I mean,
Uh,
I can Google that if somebody doesn't just.
Pernicious means irritating, difficult, pernicious, kind of
Tricky.
terrible.
Something that doesn't go away, like a mosquito. When you're trying to get the mosquito to leave you alone, just keeps coming back. That's pernicious.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. The fourth is remind them that the body is serene in its emptiness, but don't teach that it is ultimately extinguished. This one, as I understand it, is about the vast aspect of the body, the Dharmakaya, utterly eternal and unrippled, which isn't awaiting us in nirvana because we already have it. You don't have to transcend or extinguish anything, ouch, to obtain serenity. May you, on behalf of the world, discover it even in pain, even in difficulty, and let it ripple. The fifth response is more contrarian advice. Explain that you should regret your former transgressions, but don't consign them to the past. Use your own illness to sympathize with the illness of others. In other words, do not let bygones be bygones, as far as I'm concerned. Use your own wounds and the mistakes you've made to open your heart so that you can better comfort others in their distress. If you hold a living recognition of the ways you've messed up and are capable of messing up, it softens your attitude towards others and brings out your natural ability to understand and forgive.
You might have noticed that Vimalakirti often answers Manjushri's questions by suggesting what you shouldn't do, without telling you what you ought to do instead. I don't think that's an accident. In the Koan tradition, which takes Vimalakirti as one of its founding ancestors, even if he didn't know it, what needs clearing away to make space for a bodhicitta looks pretty much the same from person to person. Each of us might have our own Baroque variations, but fundamentally, the list of things that challenge our awakening is pretty universal.
I think I'm next. Once the clearing away has begun, you have to discover what comes next. This tradition will tell you what to put down, but it won't tell you what to pick up instead. That's your exploration. What a glorious exploration. There are no recipes or directives, because from the perspective of this tradition, there couldn't be. What I pick up isn't necessarily what's right for you to pick up. Whatever each of us does that is good, whatever skills, whatever arts, whatever qualities of character each of us has, that's what we do.
Vimalakirti is saying that if you do these things that are good for other people, it's also going to mend your heart. Here is the way to be intimate with your own body, heart, and mind. Find the peace already within yourself, and even to accept your own wounds and idiosyncrasies, which can bring understanding and forgiveness for yourself and others.
I will pass. I will just listen.
There's an implied commitment to do this work so that what flows from you will have more good about it. What does good mean when we're speaking of compassion? Probably something like brave, willing to take chances and be wrong, noticing what effect our actions have and adjusting accordingly. If good is most importantly a synonym for helpful, we're signing up for trying to understand what helpful means. The next two exchanges between Manjushri and Vimalakirti speak to this.
Renunciation. Manjushri asks, "What is renunciation?" Vimalakirti replies, "No expectations about the blessings that are generated." A while ago, Manjushri began asking Vimalakirti a series of questions about illness coming from great compassion. His first question was, "What is compassion?" Now his question is, "What is renunciation?" In most of the ancient languages in which Buddhism grew, renunciation has a different flavor than it does in English. When Westerners talk about renunciation, we tend to emphasize what you're giving up. You renounce something, activity. You renounce something, activity, or habit that you usually have a reason for doing so. You think is bad for you. You're demonstrating your sincerity. You're doing some kind of penance, or you think is immoral to go on doing what you're doing. In the countries of Buddhism's original development, the idea of renunciation includes what is made possible by putting something down and clearing the space. The focus is on what's coming rather than what's going.
Hmm.
That's such an important point.
Yeah,
There's so many good things in here. Even though we're reading per paragraph, it seems like it goes by so fast to me.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, they're very dense. Yeah.
To me, that of putting something down and clearing the space to focus on what's coming is like, okay, we know we're gonna be eating dinner, so the table needs to be set, and is clearing everything that is on the table so it can be set for dinner, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm glad they're pointing out the different cultural meanings because that makes a big difference between what we would probably normally think they were talking about and what they are indeed talking about.
Mm. Vimalakirti suggests that if compassion is freely giving what is good in us to others, the way to make the freest gift possible is to renounce our opinions about, and even our fondest hopes for, the effects of what we offer. The Bhagavad Gita agrees. You don't have a right to your actions. You have a right to your actions, but never to the fruits of your actions. Act without any thought of results, open to success or failure. Taoists expressed a similar idea in the Tao Te Ching. Do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity.
Mm. That's a hard one, at least for me.
Yeah, me too. If we have a powerful need to quickly solve the seemingly overwhelming problems of our time, that's probably going to land us somewhere on the spectrum between disappointment and despair. Vimalakirti inquires about how it would be if we put bodhicitta at the center and act from that, without a guarantee that our actions will take care of whatever needs we bring to the situation. What if we do it because we can't imagine not doing it, no matter what? Do our small and incomplete offerings have value too? I think yes.
No one in Vimalakirti's room would argue against giving up self-control in denial, ruled by greed, hatred, and ignorance, ways of being in the world. And as we do, maybe it's natural that we allow ourselves to be so deeply pierced by the troubles of the world that we despair for a while. That might even be the necessary antidote to the previous problem. But Vimalakirti is saying that you can't stop there because, first of all, if we have bodhicitta at the center, our motivating energy is to be helpful. And it's difficult to be helpful from a position of despair. Despair is destructive to our intention and damaging to our hearts. And second, it's partial. If we're going to see what's missing in the world, what we're failing to do, we should also see the small blessings of what is getting done. They're here and they're real.
Could we read that one again, please?
Sure. You know, some of these things that we've been reading seem like so pertinent today, even though they weren't written today.
Yes.
I'm not. When was this book written? I'm looking it up. But if only she had known what was coming. Oh, 2016, so 9 years ago, or 10 years ago. Okay. Oh,
There were enough precursors 10 years ago, I think.
what'd you say, Ed?
I said, I think there were enough precursors 10 years ago.
But did people realize it?
Yeah.
No, we thought it was better. I thought, really, you saw it coming, Carrie? Casey, I thought
He had already
Obama.
been elected once in 2016.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah,
There
you're
was an
right.
interview back in, I don't know, it might have been 1979, 1980, with Frank Zappa. And he actually laid out verbatim, a very specific language, everything that we've been experiencing for the past 6 years. It's scary. So someone said history doesn't really repeat itself, but it very often rhymes.
Okay, if it's all right with Anne, I'm going to reread this last paragraph. Okay, Anne? She's not answering.
That's fine. I'm shaking my head.
Okay. No one in Vimalakirti's room would argue against giving up self-centered, in denial, ruled by greed, hatred, and ignorance ways of being in the world. As we do, maybe it's natural that we allow ourselves to be so deeply pierced by the troubles of the world that we despair for a while. That might even be the necessary antidote to the previous problem. But Vimalakirti is saying you can't stop there because, first of all, if we have bodhicitta at the center, our motivating energy is to be helpful, and it's difficult to be helpful from a position of despair. Despair is destructive in our intention and damaging to our hearts. And second, it's partial. If we're going to see what's excuse me, what's missing in the world, what we're failing to do, we should also see the small blessings of what is getting done. They're here and they're real.
Thank you.
Joy. Manjushri asks, what is joy? Vimalakirti replies, if there is benefit, rejoice without regret. Though we've released our grip on the outcome of our actions, if good things result, please be unreservedly happy about that. You have the intention to be helpful. The difficulties of the world flow in. You give whatever you have that's good, that flows back into the world. If there's some benefit, some small moment of relief, reconciliation, or refreshment that comes out of that, let that flow back into you, so that the gift continues to circulate. What you've renounced is the drive for a certain outcome, arising from your own needs. What you've gained is a willingness to be delighted. I think it's you, Kim. You just have to unmute.
Oh, I thought I read after Ed by mistake, but I'll read again. Rejoicing without regret means rejoicing completely in what's happening without keeping account of all the things that haven't. Regret So that's interesting, not to forget. Regret is about what hasn't been done and how much else there is to do. Earlier, Vimalakirti says, if everyone is released from illness, I am no longer ill. If there is benefit, if there is blessing, if for just a moment in a tiny local corner of the world something good happens, in that moment, living beings are released from pain, and I share in that release. If I join them in sorrow and suffering, I join them too in healing. So this isn't about bypassing, is it?
Sometimes, when there's so much that's hard in the world, joy can feel like a betrayal of those who are suffering. Sometimes it is more difficult to open to happiness than to sorrow. Being not two means simply responding to what is actually happening. If it's something sorrowful, you feel sorrow. Something joyful, joy. Vimalakirti's absolute, unquestioned, unmitigated, unbuffered, uncompromised allegiance to this world includes the rare, the just born, the glinting and swaying and swooping, the shy smile and the sudden guffaw, pirouettes and bursts of song, bright eyes, swelling chests, and reaching arms. Mm.
Is it my turn? Oh, I apologize. The goddess in the room. Flowers fall. Everything that exists is a manifestation of liberation. I'm going to read that again. Everything that exists is a manifestation of liberation, the goddess. One of the many extraordinary things about Vimalakirti's room is the goddess who's been living here for 12 years. She's the only major figure in the sutra who is described rather than named, which is often the case with female Buddhist characters, like the Naga princess and the innkeeper at Hara Station. She's also the only figure raised alongside Vimalakirti, who doesn't represent an apparent duality with him, let alone tension or disagreement. Though their styles are different, they seem to be in perfect accord.
When
Nagas,
they got it, oh,
I was just going to read the footnote. Nagas are
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you. Nagas are mythological snake dragon hybrids with supernatural powers, and the nameless innkeeper appears in a story with the 18th century Japanese koan teacher Hakuin. Okay.
When the goddess sees this assembly of 32,000 souls and hears a conversation going on, she makes herself visible and showers flowers on everyone. The flowers rain down upon two kinds of people, bodhisattvas and some of the disciples of the Buddha. The sutra refers to these disciples as the private Buddhas because they think of enlightenment as a personal and individual experience they're pursuing for themselves. One of the subtexts throughout the story is a contrast between these private Buddhas and the bodhisattvas who who yearn for the awakening so that they can help others awaken. Note that we're immediately back in the realm of dualities.
The flowers fall softly to the ground around the bodhisattvas, but they stick to the private Buddhas. The private Buddhas believe that because they're aesthetics and shouldn't be wearing flowers, so they try to pick them off. But the flowers won't be dislodged. Even when the disciples turn on them the supernatural powers they've acquired through meditation. Pause for a moment to absorb this image. A group of accomplished practitioners turning the force of their accumulated prajna to defend against a soft shower of blossoms. Their defeat catches everyone by surprise, including Shariputra. Kathy, you're muted.
The goddess turns to Shariputra and asks, "Why would you try to remove the flowers?" Shariputra answers, "Because these flowers are contrary to the teachings." He's referring to the fact that monastics are forbidden to adorn themselves. The goddess replies, "Don't say that these flowers are contrary to the teachings. They make no such discrimination for or against the teachings or anything else. You're the one generating discriminating thoughts. If someone like you who's left the householder's life to follow the Buddha makes that kind of discrimination, that is what is contrary to the teachings."
Here is the goddess's first teaching about views and duality and reality. A physicist once said that with the Big Bang, an almost infinite multiplicity of viewpoints was created, which is an interesting way of looking at what the universe is. Where we get into trouble is if we confuse our particular view with reality. In the immortal words of Daniel Patrick Moynihan, "You are entitled to your own opinions, but you are not entitled to your own facts." It might turn out that we have a more or less realistic view of the flowers, and it might turn out that we don't. The important thing is to recognize that what we have is a view, and views are provisional and impermanent. They rise and fall. We can explore a view, and it ought to be subject to new evidence. At any moment, it's our best guess, which is pretty much what we get in this life. The goddess is reminding us that duality doesn't actually exist in the world around us. It exists in our minds. Duality is something our mind does with the world. I like that. Yeah. Duality is something our mind does with the world. Next.
Shariputra asks the goddess how long she's been in this room, and she replies that she's been there as long as he's been free. It's another moment that reveals Vimalakirti's room as the space of awakening within each of us. But when she asks him how long that is, he won't answer. She asks him why, and he says, "Liberation cannot be spoken of in words, and so I don't know what I can say to you." This sounds like Zen 101. Zen is a special transmission outside the scriptures, not dependent on words.
The goddess responds, "Words and speech are manifestations of liberation." She's implying that when you say that, liberation can't be spoken of. You're making words special. In this case, specially bad, instead of realizing that words are as good, bad, capable of illuminating, and capable of misuse as anything else. It all depends on what you do with them.
She then goes a step further. Everything that exists is a manifestation of liberation. Shariputra asks what might seem like the obvious question. Isn't liberation detachment from greed, aggression, and denial? Isn't spiritual practice about sorting between things that get us closer to liberation and things that move us further away?
But non-duality means we can't have two piles of anything. There's only one pile, and everything in it is a manifestation of liberation. The koans say over and over again that anything, however apparently trivial or noxious, can become an occasion for our awakening, just as each of us, however trivial or noxious we might be, can become that occasion for someone else. I've been brought,
We might feel we might feel,
oh, I beg your pardon.
not we might be.
As each of us, however trivial or noxious we might feel, can become that occasion for someone else.
Thank you.
I've been brought a crushed beer can that woke somebody up and taken outside to see the one rock in a landscape of rocks that rose to fetch someone else. Everything comes from the same dark. Everything is filled with the same light.
Which isn't to say that everything is completely just yet. There is still there is still more horror and viciousness than is possible almost to bear. But aren't those the very things most in need of inclusion in this agonizingly slow, grievously uneven awakening? The move from private Buddha to Bodhisattva means that we vow to wake up in the world, for the world, and with the world. Everything partakes in our dream of awakening. I really like that. The move from private Buddha to Bodhisattva means that we vow to wake up in the world, for the world, and with the world. Everything partakes in our dream of awakening.
So this talk about the private Buddha is typical of Theravadan Buddhism, where the private Buddha is also called the Arhat, and it wants to just do individual awakening as opposed to the Bodhisattva who stays back. We've talked about this before, who stays back until all beings are awakened. So you'll see this a lot, this kind of contrast.
And I think it's really human nature. I mean, I think that occurs in all of us when we encounter or spiritual practice arises in us. We think we want to be, or I do anyway, I will say for me, think that I want to understand. I want to be helpful. But it goes back and forth for me.
It's nice to hear you say that because you're a bodhisattva certainly in your work, but then you have this private desires, right?
I go to work so I can make money
Oh,
and live. I mean, I don't go to work strictly to be helpful. So it's all there.
okay.
Non-duality, you're going to work and you're helping.
You don't get to make two piles. It's one pile.
How do you reconcile this with not holding on too tightly to the illusion?
What's the illusion, Emily?
I guess the illusion of the world that we live in. So we vow to wake up in the world, and the world is an illusion. For the world, which is an illusion, and with the world, which is an illusion.
I think it's because on this book, Vimalakirti talks about the darkening instead of the awakening. So basically, the world is real. We are real. And everything we do is to stop the suffering of us in this world, but without renegating of it or seeing it as a bad thing. Illumination, getting the awakening, that's a wonderful thing, but you can also have a darkening. I don't think I'm explaining this well.
No, I wonder if it's the step prior to recognizing the illusion.
So, Emily, there are three people in the Sangha, one in a Dharma talk and two teachers in a practice discussion, who I've asked about this Dharma talk. Christoph was asked, I think by Joel, can we ever get past our delusions and illusions? And Christoph said, no.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that discussion. And Joel added, in addition to his response of no, he said, but knowing that we're in a delusion, knowing that we're in this illusion helps us to see through that veil of duality, see deeper. We may not know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
We may not just get a very clear glimpse. So given that, and given what I understand your question to be, yes, it's a delusion, impossible to get past it most of the time. But knowing that it is, and still using our vows, everything that we have in our teachings to aspire for good and let go of the result is, I think, our practice. And I'm sure there's much more to it than what I just said.
Mm.
And I just remember the word I was trying to find out that I couldn't remember. Enlightenment is one thing and darkening is another. So the Buddha is the path for enlightenment, and Vimalakirti is a Buddha that is saying, well, we can also have darkening. We don't have to aspire to live this world. We can aspire to be in this world
What
and making it better.
I keep coming to this sentence of, but aren't those the very things most in need of inclusion?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
had this conversation about how the to offer kindness to the shooter that was in Austin. Like clearly we're going to offer kindness to all of the victims, but offering kindness to the shooter. And that the shooter was the one who was in the most need. And then do we choose to uh, not offer kindness to the cruelty? Like, is that a condoning of the cruelty? Or what would actually turn the wheel for the person who was in such a dark place that they chose that? That's what's coming up
Well,
for me in this.
part of what I'm seeing in this, and I could be wrong, is that the whole thing is that so the shooter is in need of compassion. You offer the compassion to the shooter without worrying about what the result is going to be. He or she may never change,
Or
but
is already dead too.
we're here to offer the compassion and let go of the response. And I think that makes it sort of easier to offer compassion in that kind of situation. Because in a way, we know that if we offer compassion to the victim or the victims, that in some way that will be possibly at least acknowledged, right? If somebody has been hurt and you go and try and help them, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna either appreciate it or pass it on or something. But in but so you don't really have to let go of the reaction. But if you're going to offer compassion to the shooter, there is a chance that that will help the shooter see the reality of the situation and change their ways. But there is more often the chance that that's not going to happen. But the compassion still needs to be offered. And I think to me, that's really a big part of what this is about.
And the compassion doesn't mean condoning of action.
Mm-mm. No, no, no. No,
The best
not
example
ever.
that I can think of out of the top of my head is when the Pope got shot. Um, and the thing is that he forgave the shooter, but the shooter still went to jail. And the
Yeah.
Pope visited him in jail because it was two different things. Yes, I forgive you, but you did one action that has consequences that you have to be responsible for.
And I want to bring it, thank you, Starlet. And I want to bring it closer to home. I could not and probably would not have stayed in this practice if I had not seen that compassion lived out in the Sangha, through each of the people I encountered. I can honestly say I've never met a kinder group of people than those who are in our Sangha and have, boy, when I've blown it or just said something off the cuff that was so inappropriate, all I've got was a loving smile. Didn't necessarily agree with me, I'm saying, but it's that tenderness that models this practice. So, yeah.
But was there a satisfactory answer or direction to your original question, Emily?
Yeah, I think it was a good discussion. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
It's me.
Okay.
It's me. Sometimes, let's see, sorry. It's something else that seems like it ought to be in the not liberation pile. And sometimes it can feel as though you yourself are buried there. The koan says, under a shadowless tree, the boat where people gather. This is the community ferry boat, and we're all on it together, crossing to the other shore. Sometimes you really know you're on the boat, and sometimes it can feel that you're not. But there's no such thing as being off the boat. Everything you encounter and every state you're in, whether it's a good or bad or indifferent day, is on the boat, where each of us, as well as for the world, everything is part of the dream of awakening.
Once again, what changes is our perception, our ability to know and experience that. Instead of asking about how to get back on the boat when we feel as though we're off, we're asking why we're not feeling the planks under our feet. How can you return to intimacy with what is already true? Coming up next, the goddess has some interesting things to say about that.
Self-obsession and its transformation. Buddhahood is passion, and passion is Buddhahood. Zhao Zhu. The goddess shocks Shariputra by saying, the Buddhas only say to self-absorbed, self-obsessed people that detachment from greed, aggression, and denial is liberation. For those who aren't self-obsessed, the Buddhas say that the very essence of greed, aggression, and denial is liberation. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Had to stop and inhale for that one.
Ed, do you mind reading that again?
I have to. Thank you. The goddess shocks all of us, including Shariputra, by saying, the Buddhas only say to self-obsessed people that detachment from greed, aggression, and denial is liberation. For those who aren't self-obsessed, the Buddhists say that the very essence of greed, aggression, and denial is liberation.
So I think it was in our spiritual materialism book that we're reading that samsara and nirvana are almost one of the same. Both are needed, and the way I'm taking this is those who aren't self-obsessed, the greed, aggression, and denial are all like teachers, all opportunities. So the first thing you want to do if you're obsessed is to detach, but then if you're not obsessed, to embrace and examine.
To what end?
Go on, Ed.
Now, you said to embrace and examine, and I just asked to what end?
Because it's inevitable. It's like these are all over you, no matter what. There's no escape. The world is both nirvana and samsara.
Yeah.
I think that is to bring the person to balance. Somebody who's self-obsessed needs to get rid of greed, etc., etc. But if you have somebody that is the opposite, that they don't even assert themselves in any way, they need a little bit of that to become balanced. It's again non-duality.
So the question pops up then is, what is the very essence of greed, aggression, and denial? If it gets you to or keeps you from liberation, what is that essence?
I think excess or lack of, you need to have the right amount. It's like salt and sugar. If you add salt the right amount or sugar the right amount, the food tastes delicious. If you don't add it, the food doesn't taste right. And if it is too much of either one of them, you cannot eat it.
I think that the next paragraph is going to help us out here.
Also, before we get there, I was working on that with greedy for what? Like what is the object of greed? I have an association with greed that the object of greed is always something negative. But what if the object of greed was not something negative?
Cassie, I think I may be wrong. I think the word greed implies a negative connotation.
Yeah, I'm challenging that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the way I read this sentence, that the very essence of those things and many others is liberation. I'm reading this as every sharp edge is a dharma gate, is a practice opportunity, is a possibility of opening. So that is how greed, aggression, denial, pridefulness, arrogance, any number of things can be a dharma gate, a practice edge and a dharma gate, and therefore liberation.
So they can be obstacles or opportunities, or actually both.
Right.
Yeah.
And as long as you're
Well,
embodied, you have the possibility of engaging with any of those things, but you can engage with them from a point of liberation where you're not tied to the I don't know how I want to say. It's like, sometimes you think the point of a koan is to get to the place where you go, there is no answer, and therefore I don't have any further attachment to it, because that is the answer, is not to be attached to whatever it's pointing to.
Ah, good insight.
I think that's, it's all about clinging, the essence, isn't it? I think that relates to what you just said, Ed.
Yeah, I think the phrase self-obsessed is really important here.
mhm.
That
I, yeah.
that if you are I think the goddess is speaking about beings that are really attached to the idea of an individual unchanging self. And to me, the greed, aggression, denial, they're energy. They're not, and they become negative or positive when we have an idea of self, I think.
And along with what Cassie was saying, if you look at it a little slanted, so what if you're greedy for peace? What if your aggression is for helping people? What if your denial is of things that are bad? How does that change how we think about it, and how does that change non-self-obsessed people who are doing these kinds of things which have the same sort of feeling to them or the same definition of greed, but it's for the good?
I think Anne had a good point. This next paragraph, I think, gets to some of that.
But it's 8 o'clock.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
I mean, I'm going to make an executive decision since I'm the
That's the
coordinator.
season finale cliffhanger.
really? Don't get attached to the clock, Anne. Come on.
No. Well,
We're happy
okay,
to.
we'll read this one next paragraph, and then we will embark upon our discussion.
First of all, let's assume that we're going to take the advice of the sutra and refrain from making piles of good, not self-obsessed, and bad, self-obsessed about this. We're going to look at self-obsessed and not self-obsessed as territories we walk through at different points in our lives. Perhaps we tend over time for more self-obsession to less self-obsession. Perhaps there are places where we're not self-obsessed anymore, while there are other places where we're still deeply engaged with self-obsession. And let's also assume that self-obsession involves more than focusing on the concerns of the self, which is an ordinary part of life. We've tipped into obsession when the focus is consuming enough that it causes suffering for ourselves and others.
Okay. So that wasn't very satisfying as far as an answer to our questions. Bye, Melin.
Hi, Milan. Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
hi.
But I think let's go ahead and close the book, and we can do our round robin talking, communicating. And I can start.
Wait,
Since
we
I'm
do a
Are we going to
minute.
have a moment? Are we
Oh
going to have a
yeah,
minute of
thank you.
or two, maybe?
Do we have a minute or do we have 5? I can't remember. I think it's a minute. Okay. All right. Okay, since I said I'll start. I'm glad we're talking about the goddess section. This was always my favorite part of the sutra. Um, and I really enjoy the book. It seems like, or it feels like to me, sort of uncovering things that I knew from a long time ago, or having somebody really articulate um, say what's in my head instead of me having to bumble along trying to spit it out. Um, though not all of it is like that. Though I am enjoying her writing and really enjoying the idea of you don't get to make two piles. And her quoting Daniel Patrick Moynihan about everyone has the right to their opinion, everyone does not have the right to their own facts. I've never seen that on a bumper sticker, but I should make one. Um, but I'm really interested in how this next chapter on the self-obsessed and the not self-obsessed is going to play out. How the essence of greed, hate, and delusion are liberation. For me, I don't think it has to do with what we were talking about, that they're all Dharma gates. Though I think that's part of it. I think there's something else that's the essence of, or I'm hoping that we'll learn in the coming paragraphs, that there's something that's the essence of greed, hate, and delusion that is the same as liberation. And I really like Emily's question about, how do you not hold on to the delusion? It's a really good question. What is Cassie?
Okay. I'm glad we have the book. I really like the book. It's been a while since I underlined things in a book, and it's fun. Um, so from page 55, if you hold a living recognition of the ways you've messed up and are capable of messing up, it softens your attitude towards others and brings out your natural ability to understand and forgive. That's a sentence that meant a lot to me. And because it's about forgiveness in both directions. And I feel like that I will often attach to one side or another instead of fully acknowledging the whole. And I could feel a body energy change in me when I wasn't holding an attachment to one or the other. It was really nice. Um, and I think about discipline and renunciation, as a power dynamic that's outside myself. Um, so, remembering our senior teachers saying that discipline, it really means to remind yourself of what you want as opposed to an outer power defining something. And that in renunciation, the focus is on what's coming rather than what's going. That was a really big shift for me and how I think about both of those things. This is so rich and so deep that I felt lost a lot tonight. And I felt like it was going by way too fast. And I'm thankful that I can take the time with it and go back and reread it and experience our connection through being with it again. I, it's like every single sentence, every single paragraph, I needed twice or 100 times. Starlet.
Um, there have been two different ideas that have been present to me through the reading today. And I do feel like you, Casey, very rich and, and passing too fast. Um, I kind of feel that this is a little bit of an example of what parenting is. Because when you have children, you do everything to take care of them, to feed them, take them to school, everything that you need to do. But you're not going to be the one that gets the fruit of that labor. The child, when they grow as an adult, they are the one that reap the benefits or the consequences of everything that the parents did. So I think I kind of see it in that way. The other thing is about renunciation. I am dealing with something like that right now. I'm thinking about my future. I'm thinking about the new medication that I'm taking that I'm responding to very slowly, little by little, but I am responding to it, which is magnificent. But I start to dream, what if? What if I could get well and no more pain, no more? What type of life would I want to live? And the thought of, well, I go back to my life, what used to be. And I don't want to do that. I lost a lot. I was doing a lot of things that I wanted to do, definitely. But I have built a new life. And I think I just want to keep on building on being a writer and a poet and opening my life to, I don't know what's going to be out there, but I just want to clear the table to allow life to happen. And I choose Emily.
Thank you for being here tonight. It's nice to be here with you all. Um, I've been thinking a lot about um, sitting with the Epstein files, and because it's the topic that's very close, hits close to home in my family, and I've been sort of sitting with the enormity of the abuse, neglect, and trafficking of the world, you know. And it's not going to stop tomorrow. And I'm learning how to sit with it. And I think tonight's reading brought to mind, I think a lot about kids who grow up, who I encounter as a doctor, like their abuse has consequences on their health for decades. And I often think all I wish is that I could be the person who laid my hand on their shoulder when they were a child and to say, you are wanted, you are meaningful. But I can't do that with every kid. And I think what this reading brought to me was the teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh, who said there are sunflower seeds that are buried in the ground in France, and in the hillside in the summer, the sunflowers grow. In the winter, you don't see them, but just because they're not there doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I think I'm going to take that with me as I continue to sit with the complexity of this issue. And I'm going to try and marry those two concepts together. Melissa.
Melissa, you're up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. So this has been very interesting for me in kind of an odd way, I guess. I growing up and we were Episcopalian at the time, and you have all the Christian stuff, and it always seemed to me to be there was something false about doing things so you could get into heaven, right? And it always even from a tiny child, it just bothered me. Why was that the goal? Why was the goal helping people to help you get to heaven? No, I could almost deal with getting them to heaven, but I couldn't deal with the personal thing. And then at some point, somewhere, either in a book or my grandmother or somebody, told me what a mitzvah is. And hopefully I'll get it right, kid. But a mitzvah is something you do, not because you're going to get a reward, because it's something that needs to be done and it's a good thing. And you should do it because it's a good thing, not because it'll get you stars. Well, my grandmother said it'd get you stars in heaven, but not so here on earth. It doesn't get you anything really, but it needs to be done, and you do things for people and yourself and because they need to be done, not because or become better or make other people think you're better or any of those reasons. And I really liked the way it was coming across today in a way that it was, I kind of felt like it was saying a bit of, you don't have to be striving for nirvana. You can choose just to be here and strive to be helpful or to be kind or to do things for people, and that's what your focus can be, and that's okay, and that's a good thing. And eventually, perhaps it still will get you, you know, where everybody wants to go. But even if it doesn't matter because you've done what needs to be done, and I really, really like that. Mm. Ed.
Would you like to choose the next person, Melissa?
Oh, I said Ed.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
It's okay. I didn't hear when they called my name either. We're good.
These discussions, these studies, they keep bringing me back to 14 great lines from a poem I wish I'd written, but then I'd need to have been about 6,000 years old, in the Shin Shin Ming. And it's kind of like a guardrail or a litmus paper test where it says the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of things is not understood, the mind's essential peace is disturbed to no avail. The way is perfect, like vast space where nothing is lacking and nothing in excess. I cling to that. I will admit that. And especially when that question gets deeply rooted, like Emily's question, like when you have an appreciation or an awareness of delusion, how do you hold on to that? How do you balance that? How do you dance on the head of a pin, knowing that your ballet shoes are delusional as well as the pin, but you can slip, and then what? Uh, it's it's a quandary, and I guess it's one of those things that we have to deal with, whether you want to or not. And being able to look at it like as an obstacle or an opportunity, I guess, is the thing that uh, keeps me from falling off into insanity sometimes. But it's always interesting. Maybe I'm masochistic, but it's always interesting, no matter how it comes about. And I appreciate these times with all of you and these writings. Oh, and let's see, my favorite barrister, Nelda.
Goodness, you don't know barristers well enough, do you?
Hey, my fantasy, leave me alone.
Your delusion. Um, oof, so much, so rich. First, thank you, everyone. Thank you. And each of you touched on something that moved in me during this. First, I just love the languaging in this book. It is so lovely the way it languages our practice. It's almost lyrical sometimes. I just love listening to the words like a symphony flow out. I just love it. So I just had to say that. And I'm still working with, and I'm going to work with more Greed, hate, and delusion are liberation. And so as I was sitting with it, I'm like, how do those fit? Well, everything fits. Everything fits and is welcome. But I'm sensing that in each of those, as we usually use them, is an aversion or an attachment. And so those lead to liberation, freeing ourselves of. But I'll work with it more because it's the primal disease of the mind, isn't it? Aversion, attachment, duality. I focused a bit on places where we're still self-obsessed. And I came up on one when Nate and Jessica were giving a talk, a sit in a talk, and Jessica read 3 statements and said, how does your body respond to these? And she said, it will be okay. Boom. My whole body went, no, not true. That's a lie. As we know from the Epstein files. It's not true. So I had a practice discussion with Nate, and I said, here's what happened. Boom, body says, that's a lie. But body also said, this is the truth. I will be okay. Wait a minute, that's duality. How can both of those exist at the same time? I'm creating duality here. And then Nate said, I think what Jessica meant by it will be okay is, do you want me to finish that one sentence?
Please, yes.
Please.
Life will flow as life flows. That's it. It will be what it will be. And so flow with it.
Thank you.
Great.
My inner soundtrack is playing the Beatles' Let It Be.
Here we go. And Kim, is it your turn?
It is. I'm the last one. So a
But
good
not the
example.
least.
A good example of Melissa of mitzvah. My mother walked past a pet store. I've told this story before, and she saw a monkey and a puppy in the same cage, and the monkey was scratching the puppy. And so she goes into the pet store and she says, "Mister, you have to separate them. The monkey's hurting the puppy." And the guy said, "So if you want to save the puppy, you have to buy him." So my mom brought the puppy home. But it's putting the self on the back shelf and just doing what needs to be done. And she did that over and over again. Her best, a good friend of hers who lived in the suburbs, the son was in the hospital right near our house. And the son didn't like the hospital food. So every day my mom would bring him steaks and all kinds of things to eat. That's the way she was. In terms of Emily's question about, I'm not sure exactly, but what we see as opposed to what's out there or delusions or something. I keep thinking I have this window to my right and I look out the window and for some people they look out the window and that's their whole world as opposed to realizing what I'm seeing is a view. And then people argue, this is the world. If there's a street out there that someone else, my wife could look out the window and see, oh, there's a pond out there and we're looking out different windows. And anyway, so I was thinking of that. Another thing is, this idea of like looking up, looking down, the glass is half full or half empty or all those things. Sometimes I've gotten into trouble telling that to people who have lost a lot. It seems like really tricky. Emily, I see you shaking your head, and you have to sometimes tell parents that their kid's deaf, right? And that must be really difficult. And how to how to gauge whether it's a time to say anything but sitting with them or whatever it is. Oh, we'll have to talk more about this. Okay. Thank you all. Malin has a preference that we write for 5 or 7 minutes. She actually says 7 before we do the sharing, and I'm just wondering other people's opinion about doing that.
I would appreciate time for it to settle than just immediately coming off and saying something. And to reread different passages. When we had like 1 minute, I was just like, oh, felt so rushed to try and find what I really wanted to deeply say.
Well, you want to do it in terms of writing, or do you want to do it in terms of just 5 minutes of meditation? I'm just curious.
Well, you could do both, right? You could choose to do 5 minutes of meditation or 5 minutes of
We've
writing.
often done in some other thing we're doing that. Where
I think maybe to have the chance to do whatever it is that settles and makes it easier or more, or put things in perspective so that we can go right into the discussion, kind of like Cassie was saying, more centered and more organized. And
well, should we try that next time? 5 minutes and do what you want. How does that sound to you, Anne?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, instead of one minute. We don't want to rush.
should
I
we
evidently
defer
needed
to
a
Malin
lot.
and do it for 7?
What?
Should we defer to Malin and do it for 7? Or is that too long?
What do you guys think?
I say let's be generous and do 7.
I say we fall in the middle and do 5.
Oh, well, then I'm going to push for 10 if we're negotiating.
Wow. I thought,
And-
where'd you learn your math, Ann? If we went in the middle, how about 6?
I want to, given that there's 8 or 9 people, I want to give enough time for us to talk also.
And even if we were reading for less, the engagement is wonderful for us. But
oh, that's an idea. We could quit 5 minutes early and then read for 7. Something like that.
Yeah. Quit 5 minutes earlier, get 7 minutes to do your writing, and then get back on and we do the Academy Awards timed at whatever, 3 minutes.
How does that sound?
But not writing, but choosing to do whatever we see fit.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Either writing or meditating or
Yeah, I was about to say
staring at the wall,
but
or
no.
You could do a dance, an interpretive
A
dance.
dance, yes. Emily
Yes.
likes to dance.
Get another cup of tea.
Oh, definitely.
yes.
I like that. But I will have to say that I really, really enjoyed that we take the time to, while we're reading, to discuss.
Me too.
Yeah, it kind of felt tonight like we zipped through some pretty dense hedgerows there.
So
There was a lot packed in there.
yeah, Joel has his class tomorrow night, and it's constructed so that even though you didn't go to the first class, you'll be fine in the second class. And if you want to join it and come, that would be great. From 6 to 7 Austin time, and the format is almost similar to what we're doing here, where there's a reading and a discussion and so forth, and some time to write. So I invite you to come.
Thank you, Kim. Kim, before you go, do you have a minute to talk about incense?
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, so we need to talk about a few things. What's the deal with incense?
Well, I was curious because I, maybe I'm wrong. I seem to recall you're talking about Apamata's trying out those round disc incense.
Oh, that's charcoal.
Oh, that's charcoal. Okay, charcoal. I thought I saw it listed as incense.
There is also incense. There's chip incense, there's stick incense, and there's charcoal. Three
Okay,
different things.
okay. So I'll look again because I thought that was also called a disc incense. Is that on the,
And I just ordered some.
oh, good, okay.
We have
Plenty.
16 of it or whatever, 25. Yeah.
And that'll be
We
enough.
just use it on Sunday.
We won't use it during the intensive?
Uh, well, I don't know. Probably, uh, very possibly not.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
just,
Now there's something else. Oh, with the candles, the tea light candles, we've discovered that the ones we used, the ones that I recently ordered, are no good because they're not hot enough to light the charcoal. So I'm going to try to return them.
okay.
But we have about 20 things, and I have the actually it's right
Jim,
here.
I'm going to pause you. Here is sort of my compelling energy right now. I leave for 2 weeks starting the 25th.
So we're
And
fine.
okay. Now just want to make sure that things are ordered in advance enough time for
Yeah, and you
delivery.
haven't gotten a card yet, right?
No, but I got in touch with Manuel and asked him if I could put it on my card and then just submit it for reimbursement. And he said no objection to that. So that's what I'm doing with some of the supplies.
I'm gonna send you right now. Oh, no, I'm not. But I'll send you a picture of the lights we use
That we need to use or are using.
that work.
Okay,
Well, they work pretty well. I think it's better if we take a short stub of the big candle and use that to light the charcoal. Lori didn't want to do that, but you noticed her candle kept going out and going out.
but that had I don't remember that happening.
Well, we haven't lit charcoal for a long time.
Okay,
That's new. We
okay.
haven't, we're just starting that since Nate did the ancestor stuff.
Uh, okay, that's the
But
difference.
all the different waxes have different temperatures. Also, Peg told us that the top of the flame is the hottest part, and according to AI, it's the coolest part. So anyway, there's that, and also Joel brought this neat gadget to hold the charcoal, but the only unless you put it on its side, you hold it and you'll put out the flame, or you'll light the wrong side. It doesn't work at all. So there's all those things. So we're learning.
So in terms of the charcoal and the candles and the incense, what are you asking me to do or not do?
You know, well, in terms of the tea lights, I'm going to send you a picture, unless you can see.
Oh no, send me a picture
Okay.
because I'll order. I'm doing all of my ordering and going by HEB tonight before it closes to get all the supplies. And I'm making an executive decision. So I pulled out all of the buckets that are used for soji, and I washed them all out because they were filthy. I'm sorry. That's the only word I can come up with. So I washed them all out. And in doing so, I had to take everything out. And the toilet brushes in there.
Wait, just a second. Why is that? Now talk.
Okay. So in going through the cleaning buckets that are in the side sando closet, I looked at the toilet brushes and some of the brushes, and I'm making an executive decision to buy new ones. They're nasty. I mean, I wouldn't even want to touch them. I just would not. So we're getting new toilet brushes.
Other than the one that's on the floor that she uses.
There's one good toilet brush. That's exactly.
Yeah, the other ones haven't been used for a long time and I'm sure haven't been changed.
Yeah, they need, yeah. Okay. All right. So just wanted to let you know I'm doing that. So again, just to make sure, don't buy tall candles. It looks like we have enough. Don't buy any more charcoal. We have enough. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
And the flake incense, I think there's only 4 packets in there.
Of
3
the what?
of
Oh,
the.
it's I just bought some and it's very expensive.
Okay, so I won't do.
I think we have enough. It was like $100. It was.
My goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
So we won't. So I won't do. And I'll buy some more little box matches because
Right.
those.
And there's instruction about which ones to get. Peg is very particular.
About the tiny box matches, I wrote down the brand.
Okay. Good.
Okay. All right, then we're good.
Okay. Could you ask Ben and yourself to do me a favor? I'm going to send you a picture and I just would really like your honest opinion to it
Okay.
in terms of the coloring, okay?
Okay.
It's an experiment.
Okay. He's out of town till Wednesday. Can he wait till Wednesday? I'll give you my opinion, but he's gone till Wednesday to send
Oh, well, you can
send it to him.
yeah, maybe I have his
Okay.
thing. I'll just wait. Why is
Oh, I bet you do. His email is BD Sneed.
just a second, but I'm going to do it in a text message. Nelda Ben. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm sending it right now. Okay.
All right. And one more thing. It just came up in my mind. Was there work being done at Apamata these are utility bills? And I got concerned. Was there work being done at Apamata in February of this year? I'll have to find the notice. I hadn't really noticed this notice that said your usage, and it was water, your usage is significantly higher than, let me look at 2026. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. I'm just
I
concerned.
don't think so.
So, okay. All right. Then I'll call him. I don't know what to do about it except get a plumber out again.
Well, what we could do is have we could just look at the gauge when everything's off
Okay.
and see. Do you want me to do that tomorrow?
That'd be great.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about
Yes, yes.
because that's the best way to see if we have a leak.
Okay.
Because we know that the sprinkler system has some problem, but that's all off.
Okay.
And maybe what I'll do is I'll check again and make sure no one plugged it in.
Okay.
Because if someone plugged it in, then water's going. Because
Right.
even off doesn't work anymore,
Right.
or didn't.
And so what a great segue to something. So I had sent Q, when she sent me that outdoor,
Yeah.
a message saying, here's what I think needs to be done, and so on and so forth. And I hadn't heard back from her. And so I've been talking with Manuel about different things, the lease and how to pay rent through apartments.com, just lots of different things, and asked him, did Q ever get that email? Did you get it? So I did see yesterday or today that,
Right.
that Q
She's
Um,
been having family issues, and
I
uh,
knew there was something going on. I knew that.
she's preoccupied.
I knew that's what it was. I knew it wasn't. She's so active and so
She couldn't come to our Buddhist Action Now meeting, so I did it.
okay.
Led it.
So, um, I guess should I just talk with Manuel about what I think needs to be done?
Well, I think she's asking you in that email to confer with her if she wanted to come out and walk
I
around with
saw
you.
I saw that, but the reason I'm asking should I do it with Manuel is in light of what you were just saying
No,
that
no, I think it was something that had come up that she had to
okay.
deal with.
Okay.
I think it's fine. Or
Okay.
isn't this book wonderful?
Oh, I love this book, Kim. I just, I so love how each class, each course, each intensive words things slightly different enough that gives you a better image of you get a better understanding of the elephant, the invisible elephant, right? The formless elephant. So anyway, okay, thank you. That was very
So,
helpful.
so something I just read that reminded me that we have to keep remembering that these are like activities or actions and not things. Remember the thing of no thing?
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because once we grasp it as a thing, so the koan is, does a newborn baby have the six consciousnesses, which are the six senses? Okay.
Does a dog have Buddha nature?
It's funny you're saying that because something I read about this koan, the last word was moo. Okay,
All right, good night.
bye.
I'll see you later.